Here are 3 things you should do before buying a laundromat. The first one would be talking to a current owner to see if this is the type of business that would work for you. I just set up a link on my TikTok page where you can book a 30-minute phone call with me. We can talk about how you find a laundromat, how to value it, and then the best ways to run it, as well as everything in between. The next thing you should do is start up an LLC. This will put you ahead of the game in case you find one you want. You'll already have that done and you'll be ready to go. And the last thing you should do is start walking into laundromats. Even bring a load of laundry in to do. That way you can see firsthand what you like and don't like. You will definitely learn the most by being the customer first. And if you do this at even just 2 or 3 laundromats, I promise you will know exactly what you want when you go to buy. Not only will you have much more educated questions when you talk to the previous owner, but you have a much higher chance of purchasing a cash flowing laundromat. This one decision of purchasing a laundromat can easily affect the rest of your life. So you'll want to take each step carefully before making the purchase. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I try and do my best to answer as many as I can. My link for booking a phone call with me is on my TikTok page. I can't wait to meet you. This is me quitting my job as a nurse so I can run my laundromat full time. Now I know that sounds crazy, but trust me, it was the best decision I ever made. I loved my career working as a nurse, but also bedside nursing can be really hard. And if you're a nurse listening to this, you know what I mean. I already knew that to change my job, I didn't want to have to go back to school. So instead, I started looking for businesses I could buy. In the beginning, I was looking at mobile home parks and storage units, but in the end, it was the laundromat that had me the most interested. When I walked into my laundromat for the very first time, I could immediately see the value I could bring to the place. And so just a few days later, we were under contract. I've now owned the laundromat for almost 4 years, and it was about a year ago that I was able to finally quit my nursing job. That day was a very surreal day for me. In the beginning, I was so excited, but on my drive home, I definitely cried. But I made the right decision because my laundromat has continued to be very successful. I go into my laundromat about twice a week and maybe 3 times if we're super busy, and I only work about 10 to 15 hours a week. So taking that huge risk almost 4 years ago was definitely worth it. Would you want to buy a laundromat? Let me know in the comments. I own this laundromat and I just got brand new machines, and this is how much they cost. These are my 30-pound machines and I got 15 of them. They can do 3 loads of laundry and I bought them for around $6,700 a machine. I'm happy I went with so many 30-pound machines because they get used so much. And then onto the very front row of my laundromat. This is what my customers see right when they walk in. In the very middle are my 80-pound machines, and then on each side of them are a total of 5 60-pound machines. 60-pound machines can do a total of 6 loads of laundry, and I paid $11,385 for each of them. And then right there in the middle are my 2 big 80-pounders. These are the biggest machines I have in my laundromat, and I paid $16,185 for each of them. My customers love these the most since they can do so much laundry at one time. And then in the back, I snuck in 3 60-pound machines as well. I was worried these wouldn't get as used as much since they were in the back, but I was definitely wrong because they get used all the time. And then lastly, my dryers. I didn't replace any of my dryers since these are still in pretty good condition, but I would say in the next 5 to 6 years I will. Buying these machines were such a huge investment. I make more money having them in there versus keeping my old ones still. Today I'm going to restock my soap vending machine to see how much I made in the last 10 days. I buy all of these products online and I pay 50 to 60 cents for each of them. Snuggle is one of my most popular ones. It seems most people put more than 1 dryer sheet in each dry cycle, and the bounce dryer sheets do equally as good. I always have my girls check on these just to make sure we're fully stocked. And then onto the Clorox. This is probably my worst selling one, but I'm trying to get rid of them before I purchase something different. What do you think is something that my customers would want to use instead of the Clorox? I have been trying to get through these for probably over a month and they just are not selling. And then on to the best seller, which is Tide. I keep 3 rows of Tide just to make sure we're always fully stocked. Tide costs me 46 cents a box and I charge $1 for each of them. I do plan on raising my prices to $1.25 for each of them. I have found that buying them online versus buying them locally is quite a bit cheaper. Prices are constantly changing though, so I always have to stay on top of it. Now let's collect the quarters and see how much money I made in the last 10 days. After locking it up, I'm now going to open the quarters and see how much there are. It looks like we had a pretty good haul over the last 10 days, so I'm going to dump it and then weigh the quarters to see how much they weigh, since 1 pound of quarters equals $20. After weighing them, I made a total of $211. I'm just a regular girl who quit her nursing job to buy a laundromat. Come with me to collect quarters to find out how much I made in the last 5 days. I come in about twice a week to empty all the coin boxes. The machines I'm emptying here are my 80-pound machines, and I charge $11 per wash cycle. My customers love these machines because they can do up to 8 loads of laundry in one wash. Next are my 60-pound machines, which I charge $6.50 per cycle, and I have a total of 8 of these machines. Next are my top loaders. I charge $2.50 per wash, and these machines are constantly being used. I have now owned my laundromat for almost 4 years. When I originally bought it, I definitely thought it would be much more passive than it actually is. As you can tell, I definitely dress up every time I come to the laundromat, which is another reason why I love owning a business, because there is no dress code. Here I am taking out all of the cash so I can take it home to count later. Even though this was just over the past 5 days, the last 5 days were very busy, especially considering that we're in the month of July and we're always slower in the summer season versus the winter. So to tell you that I'm excited for September to get here would definitely be an understatement. The best part about collecting this money, though, is the fact that I was actually out of town for the past 5 days, and so I made this money while I was on vacation. Granted, I do have an amazing manager who I was in contact with the whole time. Not only has my amazing manager had a significant role in growing my business, but at the end of the day, she has made my life really easy. It really is worth it to go through several employees before finding the right one. So in the last 5 days, I have made a total of $2,536, all while being on vacation. This business may not be passive income, but it definitely has its perks. Here are 3 ways you can find a laundromat for sale. At the end, I'll tell you exactly how I found my laundromat. The most common place to find them listed is online. A popular website used is bizbuysell.com as well as loopnet.com. And if you're lucky, you can always check out Facebook Marketplace too. Keep in mind that there are some states that just have more laundromats than others. The state I'm in has a good amount of laundromats, but nothing compared to California or Texas. Another good way of finding a laundromat for sale is finding a laundromat broker. You can be put on their email list so that whenever a new laundromat is up for sale, you'll be notified right away. Laundromats are pretty hot right now, so the sooner you can find one that's listed, the better. There are a lot more buyers out there right now than there were just a few years ago. And the last way to find a laundromat for sale is going directly to the current owner and asking if they would be willing to sell. So many laundromats are currently owned by baby boomers, and those baby boomers are wanting to retire. And those are the best ways that I know of to find a laundromat for sale. The way I found mine was on bizbuysell.com. It had only been listed for just a few days, and we were quickly under contract within a week. So be ready to make a move pretty quickly. Would you ever want to own a laundromat? Let me know what you think in the comments. My laundromat was making me money the first day I owned it. And let me tell you how that happened. Prior to signing the papers, I had 1 full month of due diligence, which means that I was able to see all of his financials to double check that he was telling me the truth on how much the laundromat was making each month. This took quite a bit of work on my end, but obviously it was worth it because the last thing I wanted to do was to buy a failing business. So those 30 days of due diligence are crucial to your success. During those 30 days, he would send me over all of his bills, which included all of his utilities, his water, his gas, and his electric. He also sent me over all of his payroll stubs and bank statements showing his cash deposits. During this 30 days, he also taught me how to run the business. He basically taught me how to laundromat 101. Looking back on this time period, I definitely wish I would have asked more questions. But at the time, I don't think I even knew what questions to ask. Questions would have included things like machine repair, managing the employees, tax strategy, ways to grow the business. I eventually figured these out all on my own, but it definitely would have been nice to have a little bit of a one-up before completely being the owner. But those 30 days of due diligence made me confident that my business would make me money on day one. What would be your questions you would want to ask the owner? Let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. Do you want to own a business? Because I'm going to tell you why owning a laundromat is the best kind. They say that owning a laundromat has a 97% success rate, and that's the highest success rate when compared to all other businesses. So if you ever did own a laundromat, the chances of you making it are pretty high. But that being said, you still can't purchase it and then let it run on its own. You still have to put a lot of time and effort into it to not only maintain it, but to also grow. You'll always have that competition down the street that you have to keep an eye on, specifically when it comes to their prices, as well as how much they're maintaining or not maintaining their facility. Some customers would rather pay a higher price just so they can sit in a much nicer laundromat. Anytime I raise prices on my machines, I always do some sort of upgrade to the laundromat itself so that their experience being there is a little bit better. I want my customers to know who I am and know that I value them being there. The few laundromats that are in my area may have cheaper prices than me, but my laundromat itself far outweighs them. I'm by far the cleanest with the newest machine, and I have staff there majority of the time. And I think my customers really appreciate that because they keep coming back. So if you end up owning a laundromat and you put time and effort into it, I promise you'll be a part of that 97% success group. What would you do if you owned a laundromat? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm just a regular girl who quit her nursing job to buy a laundromat. Here I am counting the cash after the busy weekend. I'll let you know at the end how much I made in 2 days. Weekends are always the busiest, so I love going in on Monday morning to collect. I've owned my laundromat for almost 4 years now, and when I bought my laundromat, I had been working as a nurse for over 10 years. And if you're a nurse watching this, you know that nursing can be hard. Would you want to leave nursing to own a business? Because once I hit my 10-year mark, I was ready for a change. And so in 2020 was when I started looking for a business to buy. I had caught the bug that I wanted to retire early, and so I knew I needed to invest my money in something that would last long term. Does anyone else want to retire early, or is it just me? When I found this laundromat listed online, I just knew it was something that I could do. And in just a matter of a few days, we were under contract. And then after 30 days of doing due diligence, the laundromat was all mine. It was a very scary jump to make, but I knew I was investing in my future. And it gave me hope that just maybe I wouldn't have to work as a nurse until I retired. And I was right, because just a few years later, I quit my job at the hospital. Since then, I've been able to really put more focus on growing my laundromat, which has been something that I've really loved doing. So in the last 2 days, which was the span of over a weekend, I made $1,887. We also were pretty busy over the weekend with my pickup and delivery. So on that side of the business, I made $542. Even though we did really well over the last 2 days, this is still considered our slow season. What do you guys think? Did you know that you can call me if you're interested in owning a laundromat? I have a link in my bio where you can book a time. Yesterday I had 3 phone calls, and it was so much fun getting to know you guys over the phone. Everyone had great questions for me, and I've decided that there are some topics that are just easier to discuss over the phone versus trying to explain it in a video. So I highly suggest that if you are serious about looking into buying a laundromat, whether it's me or someone else, have a sit-down conversation with them, and I promise you it'll be worth your time. You'll have a much clearer vision of what it's like to actually run a laundromat, but especially when it comes to running a pickup and delivery. If I could go back in time, I would have paid someone hundreds of dollars to give me the step-by-step things I need to do to start up my pickup and delivery. Because when you're a new owner, you just don't know what you don't know. And so talking to someone that does know what they're doing and has been in your shoes, that mentorship will only speed up your level of success. And this goes without saying that I absolutely love what I do, and so to bring others on board with me only makes me love the business more. You can find the link in my bio to book a phone call with me, and I can't wait to meet more of you. Thanks so much for following along.